On this GDPR focused webinar, we're going to take a look at the right to object. So first thing I want to mention is what the ICO states. So they state that an individual has the right to object to data processing based on either legitimate interests or direct marketing. The ICO states that the agency, otherwise known as the data controller, must stop processing the data unless they can demonstrate compelling legitimate grounds for the processing. This includes overriding the interests, rights, and freedoms of that individual. It also states that individuals can withdraw consent at any time. So we're going to go into the ADAPT system and see how we can record this in the system. So within the GDPR workflow options, from here, we can see we have one that focuses on the subject we're talking about. So you can either record an objection, or through clicking on the same workflow, you can record that they have asked to withdraw their consent. So either you can do it from there and click on the action, or you can go into the GDPR and checks page, and you've got exactly the same workflows in here, and that's the one we were looking at here. Now, I just want to advise you that if you have booked the candidate into an assignment, it will come up with a warning message that you cannot continue with this until you unbook them from the assignment. So you'd have to go into the assignment, unbook the candidate, come back in here, click on it again, and then you can continue to run the workflow. With this candidate, they've never been booked into a job. There's no previous assignments or no current assignment. So as you can see, it's very easy for me to then continue with the workflow. Now we've got objection date, we can see as today's date. If that's any different and you haven't recorded it correctly, please go and change that in there. You've then got a workflow down here to record the rights expressed. It's very important to let the system know whether it's an objection or whether they're withdrawing consent. So make your selection from there. You'll see you then have got two boxes that must be completed. The top one is why there's an objection or why there's a withdrawal from the individual. So you need to put their reason in the top box here. At the bottom, you've got the decision about what you're going to do as an agency. Once you've entered in your notes in here, you've then got two options as we can see. You can either continue processing or stop processing. So continue processing means that you've decided to keep their data, you've put in your reasons why, and then you'll still have their record just as normal and you're going to continue processing their data. You'll then have two journal entries in there. One contains the information from the top box here, and the other one contains the information for the decision of why you're continuing to process. So you'll have two separate journal entries next to each other. If you decide to stop processing, it will then ask you if you want to delete the record. You can then enter in your decision. If you decided yes, you're happy to completely stop processing this person's data, so you're happy to delete the record, clicking on yes will then put them straight into restricted mode, which means they'll have like a skeleton profile in the system. It also puts them straight in the queue for deletion. Our deletion number of days is 28 days in the system. So they're sitting restriction for 28 days, and then on the 28th day, they will be hard deleted from the ADAPT system. You can change the number of days. If you want it to be less days, then let us know and we can change that for you. It will also put the consent flag in their record to know, and also enter in consent expired field as well. And it contains the two same journal entries that we mentioned before. If you say, do you want to delete the record and put no? So let's run that action in here. What will happen is you then as an agency are continuing to process their data. The difference is that then a task will be created for 1 week's time. The title of the task depends on which action you ran. And then when you get the task in a week, it will say to you, it's reminding you that you were then running the stop processing action, and it's asking you, do you now want to go and delete this person in the system? So it's a reminder in there that you ran that action, and do you want to continue with this? What you can see in here is that once I've run the action, it's put in the consent withdrawn yes, withdrawn date here, and the right expressed as well. You can also see consent and expires date, so that information has been recorded accurately in the system. If we go into the journal, as mentioned before, you've got your processing to be stopped and the decision in there as well. So that is how you can handle the right to object in the ADAPT system.